30 YouTube videos in 30 days. This is day 3. Today I want to talk about this pesky little thing that everybody knows about, and it stops us from doing pretty much everything that we want to do. It goes by the name of fear or resistance. All day today, even a little bit yesterday, I'm feeling resistance already. This is something really important to talk about because so often in the self-help space, everybody always says it's just fear. It's fear this, it's fear that. You're afraid of failing, people laughing at you. You're afraid of not knowing what to do. It's all of these different things, but everybody says the same thing, that it's fear, and fear. But I disagree with that because there's so many times where it's not fear. I think one very obvious one is just not knowing what to do. And people might challenge that and say, well, not knowing what to do is actually fear of change. But is it though, really? Maybe it's just the fact that you don't know how to use a Final Cut Pro or a Premiere Pro, and that is intimidating. It's not that you're afraid, it's just that you don't know how to do it. But here's the surprising part. It's only day 3 of doing 30 videos in 30 days, and I wonder why I was feeling resistance, and it got me to thinking how many different ways there are of resistance. It's not always going to be so obvious, like you're just afraid of people laughing at you, you're afraid of people judging you, you're afraid of your high school friends laughing at you. Like, these are all very normal things. But I think resistance comes in so many different layers and forms, and sometimes it's hard to see, and I think this is really important to distinguish between, is it resistance because you fear something or you don't know what to do, or is it resistance because it's something that you really don't want to do? In his book, The War of Art, Steven Pressfield calls it resistance, right? And he has a really beautiful quote about it's not always just fear of the unknown or failing or not knowing what to do or people laughing at you, but it's also fear that when you start something, you'll see a different side of yourself. You'll see the potential that you have. And he has this really wonderful quote about how when we see it, we get so terrified because once we see our potential, we can't unsee it. And I think this is a really beautiful way to look at resistance, and it's also inspiring. However, again, like I said, I still don't love all of the things in self-help and self-improvement because they say the same thing and everybody repeats it over and over. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Jamie Foxx says, what's on the other side of fear? Nothing. I think that's kind of fun. But what I figured out is what is on the other side of fear is you. It's just another version of you that's more amazing and more awesome and has more potential. But you just have to go do the thing so you can go meet that person. If you do the thing, you can go meet a different version of yourself that is way cooler and way more powerful, which I think is a really fantastic way to look at it. The main reason for making this video today is the fact that I'm feeling resistance on day 3, and I got to asking myself, am I feeling resistance because I don't want to do these videos? Because like I said, I'm doing the 30-day sprints, and I do this often just to figure out if I really like something. It's the best way for me just to dive right in, learn how to record videos, learn how to edit, learn how to make thumbnails. In 30 days, you can learn a lot of stuff. With that also comes a lot of resistance, right? Because you get tired of it doing it quickly over and over as opposed to doing one video a week for something like YouTube. Is it resistance because I just really don't enjoy the process? Or is it because for whatever reason, maybe my mind's just talking me out of it? And I came to the conclusion that that is it because I do like making the videos. I think it's a fun way to share content and thoughts of self-improvement, and I think you can truly help a lot of people. And again, it comes back to this fear. And this is what makes me question this all the time, is that, again, everyone says fear, and resistance comes from fear. But I'm not afraid, and I'm sure you're not always. Of course, it's real. You might be afraid of people judging you and laughing at you, and friends and family seeing your content or something that you wrote, or trying something, a business, and failing. And that is tough. Nobody wants that. But also, it's important to recognize that it isn't always fear. It just might be a different manifestation of resistance. Maybe it's your mind just talking you out of doing something for whatever reason. This one in particular, one of the main reasons was it wasn't fear at all. It was that it was so time consuming and so energy consuming to script it all out, to make the video and record and do it again and again and again, and to get the right position and the right lighting, which I don't think I did a very good job today. But there are many different factors that might be stopping you. And it's not just fear. And I think that is so, so important because so many people just think it's fear. You must, right? Because we hear it over and over. You can't look anywhere in the self-help or self-improvement space and see anything other than fear. Nobody will ever say that. They'll always say it comes back to fear. But again, like I said, I disagree because this one came down to it was time and energy consuming. There's no fear around that. It just took a lot of time when I wanted to do other things that also took a lot of time. So it became a priority thing versus a resistance or a fear thing. So two really important things that I want to leave you with in this video is one, find out what is stopping you. Maybe it's fear, maybe it's this resistance, or maybe it's something else entirely. Maybe your head is just somewhere else that you've trained yourself for so long just to stop. And I see this with people in exercise. They're not really afraid of going to the gym and exercising. They're not afraid to go for a run. They're not afraid they don't know how to go run down the street. What it is they've just gotten in this habitual state of repeatedly talking themselves out of it. It's that part of your brain, the thinking brain is like, okay, let's do this. Let's exercise tomorrow. And your emotional or feeling brain is like, okay, that sounds good. Let's do it tomorrow because we'll be healthy. And then 24 hours later, the time comes and you don't want to do it. And this new brain comes up and it's amazing at talking you out of it. It's called the deal-making brain, but I like to call it the rationalizer. So find out what that is, if it is fear and resistance, and what that might be, and what it's telling you to do or not to do. So maybe it is fear, but maybe it's not. Maybe you're not afraid to do something. Maybe you're not afraid to exercise, but you're still feeling resistance anyways, right? And again, I do disagree that people are like, oh, I don't want to exercise or eat healthy, because deep down they fear that they're going to change and they won't know who they are. A lot of us have just trained ourselves over and over and over and over and gotten in this habitual state of not doing the thing that we said we're going to do. And if you do that long enough, there is no fear or resistance. It's just you've become the best at talking yourself out of doing things. The second thing I want to leave you with is find out with resistance or fear, is it something that you have resistance because you don't want to do it, or you have resistance for another reason? A lot of the advice out there will tell you, don't quit, keep going, you gotta grind, you gotta figure it out, you have to, there's no quit. But maybe you just hate it. For example, for a couple years ago, I started getting into this self-improvement and I started waking up 5 a.m. every day. I did it for about 3 months. And we're talking, okay, not super amazing 3 months, yay me. But we're talking northeastern, freezing cold, snow, blizzards. Every morning I was out there running or exercising. If I was lifting inside, then I would still go outside for 20 minutes and walk and move around through the snow. If I was running, I would go and run out there. I was like, just grind it out, keep going, you can do it. I felt so much resistance and I thought it was me again. I was like, oh, why can't you do this? Why can't you just wake up at 5 a.m. and exercise every day like everyone else does? And I started to realize that it was resistance because I absolutely hated it. I didn't enjoy it. Life is meant to be enjoyed, but there's also going to be stress and challenge and a lot of pain and suffering as well. But you get to choose what form that takes on. And honestly, if you just hate what you're doing and you do feel a ton of resistance, then don't do it or just stop doing it and don't feel bad about quitting whatever it is that you want to do. So the big takeaway today is I'm sure a lot of people who spend a lot of time watching videos, especially videos like this, want to do something or want to get healthier, want to start exercising regularly or meditate or cold plunge or make content or start writing or start that website. And there's a ton of resistance. I know I was there. I think one, you have to wait until you're ready and you go through this resistance a little at a time. Maybe sometimes you'll do the 5 a.m. for 3 months and then you'll fall back. Or maybe you'll do 3 days in a row and then you'll fall back. Or maybe you'll eat healthy for a week and then you'll fall back. But truly, I know it's so hard to believe, but you're making it. It just might make it in your own time. I think truly, now that I look at people who have made it and the more success I have, I start to look back and I see that it just took years. There's really no way around it. It just took years of a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and failing. It's like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But finding out what the resistance is for you, what it's saying to you, what that voice is, what's that rationalizer, and especially if it isn't fear, pinpoint that. A year ago, I went up and I got on stage, 45 times to do stand-up comedy, and that was fear. That was terrifying, right? That's resistance. But maybe for other things, it's not resistance. Figure out what it is for you.